Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another live stream here. Doing it a little bit later tonight. We've got a lot of reaction. The first Monday after the assassination, JD Vance, we've got Candace Owens, we've got Trump in the Oval Office, as the title suggests. How's it going, guys? How's it going? I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine today. It's a little bit too hot for my liking. We're waiting for it to cool back down. Maybe next week it'll be a little bit colder. No, I haven't seen that video, the Paramount video on that. I haven't seen it, honestly, man. Why are people blaming Israel? Well, there's been some stuff that's come out, apparently. I think people are suggesting that Charlie Kirk, or Candace Owens is suggesting that Charlie Kirk had a coming to God meeting with Bill Ackman, and Kirk was turning on Israel. And to me, I think a lot of it is forced. There is a huge current movement to blame a lot of stuff on Israel. It's very popular among the younger right wing, and it's seen as almost like a cool kids club to blame Israel for everything. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting when it comes to a lot of this stuff. I like to see the evidence. I don't know what her sources are, but it doesn't really surprise me that she's going with that. Did you see the Destiny video? I did. It's some heinous stuff. It's terrible. And Destiny was exposed on CNN. I don't even know how he was on CNN. Destiny was on CNN doing some type of documentary last month. He called Charlie Kirk a Satan spawn on CNN last month. And now, of course, there's no new crazy arguments with the Wiz debater Destiny. It's the right wing's fault because of Trump. Like that's the talking point. Trump and MAGA. They're not neocons anymore. They're not Mitt Romney, who loses elections all the time and goes, ah, shucks. So liberals are angry that the Republican movement has transformed. Hey, I DM'd you today on Discord about the interview regarding July 13th, Trump rally last year. Want to share my story? Would like to get in touch. No, I agree. I mean, I don't think it's the right time right now. There's a ton of reaction, and I appreciate that. I really do. And I do want to talk to you about that. But there's a lot of reaction tonight on the Kirk stuff. This stuff is really fresh. So I hope you can understand that this is going to be all Kirk and the response. You have a feeling we won't be hearing from Hassan or Destiny much longer? I don't know what's going to happen, honestly. I just in terms of not even just Destiny or Hassan, just the reaction and what comes of the political fallout of this and what Trump tries to do. I mean, you could say, well, designate Antifa as a terrorist organization, but if you listen to Trump at the Oval Office today, I think it's a little bit more than that. Wow, you're calling me the GOAT. Followed me a year ago. I appreciate that. That's a nice message, Cody. I know Elon Musk is going after Hassan. He said some terrible rhetoric. It's always has Hassan, seriously, they keep talking about Trump's rhetoric and Republican rhetoric. I think Hassan and Destiny have called for more political violence than any Republican. I believe that's actually true. I'd like somebody to look that up. I think that's true, honestly. Think about that. I mean, because you got Destiny saying we need more Republican violence and deaths, and that's basically what he's saying. And I don't think I've seen really Republicans ever say that. Republicans sometimes do say some bad stuff, especially the influencers, or sure, it happens. But I don't know about that. I mean, that's especially a main influencer. I don't know if I've ever heard something like that. So these people are really heinous, and then they just blame Trump for everything. There's no accountability. I mean, what is even the point of debating any of this stuff if they're just going to say it's Trump's fault? If they're just going to say it's the MAGA movement? Where is the Mitt Romney Republicans that always lose elections? I think that's who they want back, and that's who they're demanding back, and they're not going to get it. And they're angry. And even after Charlie Kirk gets assassinated on live video, on live stream, it's not enough for them. They want more. And now it's Hassan and it's Destiny. It's all of them. They're trying to play the victim. After Charlie Kirk got assassinated, they're still trying to play the victim. And the only thing they have is drool coming down their faces saying, the Trump, the Trump. That's it. TDS is a real condition. It's always all roads lead back to, for a lot of the ringers, it's Israel. All roads lead back to Israel, but for the left wingers, all roads lead back to Trump. You recommend whoever thinks Charlie was a moderate to watch the best of Charlie Kirk clips of 2024 on his channel. He was solid right wing, especially on Christianity. Needless to say, the people that say he's moderate right wing are terminally online right wingers. Obviously, the online right is different than the normie regular right from a political standpoint. So if you're terminally online, you're part of the right wing. Yes, the online right is very right wing, and Charlie Kirk would be more moderate in that spectrum. But for sure, from just a normalcy viewpoint of Charlie Kirk, he was solidly right wing, and that's why I was trying to correct people in saying that a few days ago. I said he was, he's solid right wing. The Groyper lie needs to be stamped out. We need the Discord chats. The lie's already gone, and I think a lot of liberals are conceding it. I've seen a lot of liberals come out today and say we need to move on. That's basically liberal talk for, oh yeah, it was a leftist, but we don't want blame. And so they're going to move on. If they keep saying it was a Groyper, they're just wrong. So if they want to continue to be wrong, they can continue to be wrong. But I agree, once everything gets released, based on all the evidence, all the consistent stuff we've heard, it's for sure going to come out that this was a leftist. And the question is, I mean, we saw the Discord message that just got revealed. He admitted to his Discord community. And by the way, what is Discord saying? That there was no messages with him? And now suddenly there is. I don't know why Discord would report that. But now the Discord is saying, or the people are saying that on Discord, he told his community that he was at Utah Valley and that he committed this act. You feel like they are grifting to lessen the blow from the left. He's a right wing and nothing wrong with that. What do you mean? Who is right wing? You're concerned about the possibility of the now jobless people more enraged using their extra free time to commit acts of terror or thoughts. Well, I mean, there's always that possibility. You can't really predict it. There's a lot of these people are trying to get unemployment, and so can't wait for that to happen. More handouts for these people, but I don't know what's going to happen with that in terms of these people if they get angry or whatever, they lost their job. I don't know how many. I'm not sure how wide the scope is on how many people lost their jobs. I think if we get a number, it's probably going to disturb a lot of us. There's got to be thousands of these people that even lost their jobs. We know there's hundreds of thousands, possibly millions that cheered this on the internet. A lot of them remain anonymous on Reddit, but even the ones that showed their face with these TikTok videos, and TikTok is just a terrible app. I don't know why Trump is trying to save it. It is a horrible app, and I can't even use TikTok. My clips get banned from TikTok, and I just saw another one of my accounts try and upload clips on it. I was alerted that another one of my accounts was banned on TikTok for just normal clips. But these liberals go on TikTok and they blatantly just make fun of Kirk and his family. It's just disgusting. And then my stuff gets banned. And now Trump's like, I want to save TikTok for who? 16-year-old girls? Who gives a fuck? I don't know what the obsession is with saving TikTok, but TikTok, there's a lot of this terrible stuff, and they're not anonymous with it either. Thanks for your coverage as of lately, dude. Seriously. Neon, I appreciate that. Did you listen to the JD pod? It was more of a statement, I would say. But yeah, I mean, I guess it was kind of a podcast. You mean the filling in for Charlie Kirk? He did a speech towards the end where he talked about there can't be unity right now when you've got the other side celebrating. And that's really part of it. And then the media is just pure gaslight. I mean, it's CNN. It's the same stuff over and over again. Now they're trying to bring in the previous right-wing violence, like against these people. They have to like look up the names. Who was the leftist that got the... It's like, it's not even comparable to Trump and Kirk. Stop gaslighting us. Trump and Kirk are by far the head honchos on the right wing. They're our thought leaders. They're the leaders of our political movement. And they had rifles aimed at their heads within the last 2 years. And you're going to tell me that it's both sides? Really? Is there a Democrat equivalent to that? It's not even fucking close. It isn't cancel culture, it's accountability culture. Right. And isn't it funny how they're manipulating it now and saying this is what they did to cancel? No. They would go back and find tweets from 13 years ago, like with Joe Rogan. He said the N word in 2009. Oh my God, take away his sponsors. And they're comparing that cancel culture to this, really? Remember when black people would go search people's Twitter and it'd be like, when this kid was 13, he said the N word and they try and have him canceled? Remember that heinous shit? And they're saying this is the same thing, these grown-ass people mocking and gloating. And then on top of that, desecrating the remembrance areas of Charlie Kirk. They can't even stop there. And now on Reddit, I'm getting word they're throwing parties during the Charlie Kirk funeral. And people have told me about that. It just gets worse and worse with these people. It gets worse and worse, and they don't want any accountability. Of course, they want to cancel someone for saying the N-word 10 years ago, but when a grown-ass 50-year-old man or a 28-year-old woman who's like a fucking nurse mocks the death of a father, a thought leader, a respected man within the Republican community, a husband, they don't want any accountability for that. But what happened when we said that the N-word 10 years ago, you wanted us fired, but this is like 1,000 times worse than what you're doing. But now you don't want the accountability. Oh, that's funny. But if we said a racist slur 100 years ago, it's like the worst thing in history. Oh my God. They'll just get on unemployment. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that. I mean, it kind of suits them, doesn't it? It's kind of ironic that they go on unemployment. That kind of suits their party and what they stand for. What about Paul Pelosi? Oh my God, dude, Donald Trump versus Paul Pelosi. Which one has more? If somebody dies, who has more of an impact? That's close. Oh my God, it's so close. I don't know, man. That is such a good comparison. Because think about, both of them are so powerful. They're both so powerful, and it's like it's so close. If you collect unemployment, you should forfeit your right to vote until you are employed. Oh man, imagine what they would think about that. Then we'd be the ultimate. Just as a side note, like they're calling Trump a fascist. So when is he going to dissolve Congress if he's a fascist? When is he going to eradicate the Constitution if he's a fascist? Juan, what's up, man? You know there's a Monday Night Football game, but you'd rather be here. Yeah, I think there's a doubleheader tonight, actually. There's two football games on. But there's some big stuff happening right now. Spineless GOP, your McCain, Romney type will try and play Charlie as a moderate because he was more bipartisan. Only care about looking good on C-SPAN. Look how far we've retreated. Yeah, right. I mean, that is true if they're saying that. If Romney and them are saying that he was a moderate, that's pretty insane. Pritzker said Trump has to control the temperature. Well, it's always Trump's fault. Leftist violence is Trump's fault. Makes sense. That's the thing. They've made it now to where any political violence they just blame Trump. Like Trump can't say anything. He can't lead a movement. It's just the only thing Trump can do that the Democrats would like is lose an election and then be like, oh shucks, the Democrats won and they won all the chamber. They have all of Congress and they have all control. And oh, like that's the only thing that Trump can do that with the Democrats would be happy. Trump does anything else, it's all his fault. Any political violence, the assassination of one of his right-hand men get blamed on Trump. You just had a dude try to use Grok against me to tell me that I am lying about the trans boyfriend, and he just got cell phoned by Grok with like 12 not even right-leaning sources. Yeah, it's sometimes, I mean, maybe Grok is better, but it's tough to use AI for up to the minute stories, like real life situations that are unfolding. Because a lot of the times the information they source tends to be outdated, even if it's just by a day or two. But Grok I think is a little bit better because they source tweets, so they can time frame it like right to the minute, hopefully. Do you think Trump will designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization? He's going to do something. I don't know what he's going to do. It could be more encompassing than just Antifa in terms of how he decides to. I mean, to me, I think a lot of it depends on the investigation because they could find a network that might not even be Antifa. There hasn't been a lot of news on Antifa recently. That doesn't mean they're not still around. Of course they are, but I wonder if maybe it's more sophisticated stuff than just Antifa. We're gonna have to see what they uncover. You'll see me in Valhalla. Cash Patel. Reason Dems love McCain because he was weak, same as Romney. Trump came in and stopped the bullshit. Right, and that's the point. It's like they lost, so of course the Democrats love them. So this isn't hard. And then Trump completely revitalized the party. Josh Shapiro versus Vance in 2020. I don't think Shapiro is going to be it. No, I'd be shocked if it was Shapiro. Well, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd be surprised if Shapiro was the pick, honestly. Hmm. Here's how to make the left actually be happy with Trump. Trump would resign immediately and make public statements saying he's a Nazi, then go to jail willingly. Well, he'd have to give the executive branch to the Democrats, and then they'd be happy. Then I think they'd be happy if he gave the executive branch to the Democrats. But it's a trick so that people see them as tolerant to the right, but only the losing right. Exactly, 100%. Yeah, they don't like Trump because he wins and he takes power from them. Your teacher says Charlie was far right, racist, sexist, homophobe, divisive, and a Nazi. Well, I've got some news for him. I've got some news for him. Uh, I'm not gonna say he's moderate, but there's a the way in which the party's trending, especially after this assassination, is it's not in the moderate direction. Thoughts on Nick Fuentes running? He's not even eligible. Shapiro keeps his head down as governor and is more of a moderate, probably the best direction. I think him or Wes Moore might be a good direction. Man, he's Jewish. I'm going to be honest with the stuff with Israel and Palestine. That party is probably not going to accept Shapiro, honestly, man, as their nominee. Now, maybe it'll die down. Maybe we'll see some type of, it looks like some Israeli annexation of the West Bank or areas in the West Bank and a rebuilt Gaza within the next year or so. I don't know, but maybe the situation will die down and it'll allow him to. If it dies down, we'll see. Because right now, obviously, it's a political nightmare for Israel in other countries. The reaction. Thoughts on Venezuela situation? I haven't seen much on it recently. The liberals thought Charlie Kirk was announcing they're going to shit their pants the next 30 or 40 years. Right. Well, I think we have this common thing to where liberals are going to think every conservative is a Nazi. Conservatives think every liberal is like a socialist or communist. It is something that always happens. But yeah, in general, I mean, again, Kirk was, I wouldn't call him a moderate. I mean, maybe compared to the online right, he's a moderate, but in general, I don't think Kirk is like this crazy. Obviously, he wouldn't be considered crazy right wing or anything like that. I mean, he definitely had a lot of people that hated. I mean, obviously, he had a lot of people that hated him, and just on a human level, you think about Kirk, and it's just like, when people die young, it's like they're frozen in time. They really are. Because he's the only iteration of Charlie Kirk we're gonna know is, him at a younger age. So it just puts things into perspective. It's an interesting way to look at it. What would you rate the Vance speech? I thought it was a good speech. I like the strategy he used by repeating, the no unity with these people, and then giving an example why, and then restating it. It makes it impactful. Do you agree with? Do you agree Trump is up there with George Washington, Abraham Lincoln as the most influential people in American politics? Well, it's hard to reflect on Trump right now. We're living through it. Those are two very, very old historical figures that really helped the foundation of the United States to a degree. I mean, you're talking about the first president ever, the 16th president versus Trump, who's the 45 and 47. It's hard to compare. I think Trump in the modern sense is going to be the most impactful president for sure, just in terms of the way he reshaped the entire party. Um, but to me, it's more of a reflective thing with presidents and their impacts. You have to study, and you've got to wait a few years, but honestly, sometimes more than a decade to understand the total impact and how they'll be remembered throughout history. The radical left is going to vote for Newsom, or they're going to sit out. He ain't a real ninja. Um, I don't know what the radical left will do. I mean, it's like the radical right. Look at Fuentes not voting for Trump, and so maybe Hassan Piker won't vote for Newsom. I mean, but to me, it's such a small amount of people. I'm not sure those have big impact. The impact comes from like people in important swing states, and I don't think like these internet people really have a ton of say in these elections. A lot of it's just decided by normie independents in swing states that just vote based on the economy. I mean, sometimes they vote based on certain propaganda. 3 of your teachers got fired today. Three of your teachers got fired. You go to a college? There must be a lot of teachers for 3 of them to get fired in one day because of their statements about Kirk. That seems insane. Three from one college in a day. Except for Charlie Kirk, he had a pretty big impact on the 2024 election. He did, and he was definitely. It wasn't even just like his impact was, propaganda through debates. They had a system, they had a ground game, a door to door thing, and it's very important when you're talking about swing states and elections and stuff like that. So replacing that is a big challenge. I mean that is a major strategy to winning elections and notifying voters. And I mean, remember the liberals with the ballot harvesting in 2020 in a lot of the swing states like Georgia. Those type of things are very strategically, although they did cheat with the ballot harvesting because if I remember correctly, you're only supposed to do it for you and your family, and there'd be like black women dropping off like 400 ballots, just shoveling them into the mailboxes. It's like that's not even allowed, if I remember the rules correctly, on mail-in voting and ballot drop-offs. Hot take, but you personally think Trump's a hot take, but you personally think Trump's authenticity makes it impossible for him to be fully considered establishment. Well, I agree with you 100%. Well, the thing is with Trump, and definitely there has been a different tone to the second administration. He was he was a, you could say, a wanderer in politics. He was a previous Democrat. He was never a governor. He was never a senator. He was never a represent you know representative or anything like that. So Trump's a completely different story compared to someone like Vance. I mean, he just is. Vance being in politics, being the senator of Ohio, in Ohio for a few years. He's got the money that people talk about from Teal. And so with Trump, it was all self-funded. So it was just a lot more organic. And, The thing with Trump is he did take a lot of money in the 2024 campaign. And so people say, well, he's bought now, and there can be an issue with that. He took a lot of money from Musk, he took a lot of money from rich Jewish people, and so that's kind of why they say he's more establishment now, I think. Did you see Destiny's unhinged appearance on Pierce today? What a total fuck. Yeah, I did see it. It doesn't surprise me. And it just comes back to, well, it's Trump's fault. Okay, that's a great nuanced take. But that's what it is with him. It's Trump's fault, and he says that Republican people should continue to. I mean, I believe this is what he said. He said there should be violence against Republican people until Republicans basically bow down, or basically what he wants is he wants Republicans to lose, and then he'll be happy. I mean, it's like a fucking third grade attitude. Did you see Crystal Ball crying about cancel culture? She's a horrible person. I saw she was talking about the assassination. I mean, this is a grown ass woman. She's like, well, he's not hot like Luigi Mangione, so nobody's gonna care. Like, bitch, you're like fucking 50 years old. You're making like a high school girl joke. No one can replace Kirk. Who will Gen Z look up to? Well, it's gonna be there's a few different people. I think people expect there's some people that say I think Fuentes is gonna see an increase. It's kind of hard to deny it. I mean, I don't know really who else is there, honestly. There could be a few others, the Daily Wire, but the Daily Wire guys with young people, it doesn't seem to be clicking. It's a lot of anti-Israel angst. And even though Walsh tries to be really based and Knowles is based religiously with Catholicism, it just doesn't click with the Daily Wire guys because of the Israel stuff. If Walsh went independent, maybe he would do better. Carlson, I think, will definitely get some as well. Carlson doesn't seem to really do a ton of. Well, I guess he does. He gave an interesting opinion today, talking about Netanyahu. I think what Carlson said was professional and it was good, and I don't think it was very conspiratory or anything like that. Did you watch Candace Owens' episode today? Dude, I saw it, and I don't know if this is just maybe not being in Republican circles enough. Candace Owens, I don't think it was an actual live stream. Maybe it was like a tape delay or something. It's like a YouTube premiere, right? And it was recommended to me. 210,000 people. And I was like, this woman gets some serious reach. I didn't know she got that kind of reach. That was a live premiere, 210,000 people. Now, it wasn't a live stream. I think it's like different in terms of viewership or whatever. But I was like, wow. She had 300K. It doesn't surprise me because when I saw it, it was only 14 minutes into the premiere. So it doesn't surprise me she picked up more. No surrender. Thank you for the Australian dollars, maybe. Austrian? Nah, I don't know what that is. Charlie's shooter is on suicide watch. Well, maybe that's protocol. And that might be protocol. That's a high-profile person. They want to get details out of him. They're going to want details out of him, so they got to keep him from potentially doing it. And if something happens to him, that just opens up the conspiracy can of worms entirely. If something happens to where he dies. And remember, there's an Epstein 2.0. They can't afford anything happening to him. The public won't trust it. The Candace Owens stream was crazy as fuck. Yeah, I saw some of the clips as well. She's insinuating there was a meeting. Kirk is straight. The whole point with the Israel stuff is, and this is what I think, and I'll just say it. Well, let me take a look at this first. We must remember we are dealing with millions of people who literally voted for the surrender and invasion of their own country, voted for open borders. But I think the problem is we go in depth more. You know, a lot of these people don't like the country. They don't like America. They don't want to be Americans, or they think Americans are anyone and everyone. It's basically like they think America is a globalist cohort of anyone, and the more minorities that enter, the better. So it's not even like they really view America as a country. They hate the history. They hate the founding of it. They hate the founding fathers. It's also weird how they cite the Constitution. The people that made the Constitution were very clear in terms of the demographics. I don't know why those people would continue to cite the Constitution like it would be good for them. It's funny how they do that. But I think a lot of them just don't like America in general. So it's like we're not even arguing anything. They just don't like the country. It makes sense to be Fuentes, Candace, Tucker. What, in terms of who gets that I mean, because that's a huge hole. I mean, there's a lot of people that would watch Kirk, and where do those people go? You're right. It's gonna be one of those three, probably. Honestly, those are probably the options. Why don't Republican senators want the Epstein files released? Well, obviously there's a snafu. There's something in the files that's not in relation to Trump. It's probably in relation to a few people that they don't want. You know, they don't want out there. But there's no way it's in relation to Trump, because the Democrats would have released it. They hate Trump so much, they don't care. If there's something that makes him look like a pedo, it would be out like that, especially for an October surprise. Greg Gutfeld had another great segment today. Yeah, I think I saw him go off on the liberal woman on Fox, the Fox show. I saw that on We're start reacting to some of this stuff. It's been 30 minutes, so I should probably start reacting to some of this stuff. I forgot what I was gonna say about that. Oh yeah, on the Israel stuff. This is how I see it. I see it as, obviously there's this opportunistic moment, because the Israel stuff is extremely hot, and I don't know how long it's gonna be hot. The October 7th was a major catalyst for this, and now what Israel is doing, and they seemingly want to annex territory. And then people say, well, that's the start of the greater Israel, or it's already in motion because of the U.S. involvement in wars. But this is the way I see it. I think when you look at Charlie Kirk, he has the Turning Point USA. It's a massive youth Republican organization. It was so good the left tried to emulate it. The left tried to have their own political organization where they would go campus to campus. They tried to copy what Kirk was doing because it was so effective in registering voters, in younger people. You see the shifts of 18 to 29-year-old younger kids. So Kirk had a massive base. When you go to college campuses, of course, the fans are going to be young people, a lot of young men. You know, the young men are getting extremely anti-Israel. At a certain point, Kirk is going to realize that. And there has to be at least a little wiggle and a little shift. Now, what all of these people, like an Ian Carroll, a Candace Owens, they're looking at this and they're saying, well, that's the reason. And then there's also the other reports that, oh, Kirk said privately that Israel was going to kill him, and there was word. And I'm not sure there's much truth to that at all. Who knows? But I think they're using the fact that Kirk, I mean, he kind of had to shift his position on Israel because of the influence of young people within his own movement. I mean, it was just there's like a tsunami of young people that are extremely anti-Israel. And so whether or not this story is true that Candace Owens is saying about, oh, they had a meeting, and I mean, the Israel involved, there's always going to be people just in a modern, you know, in this day and age with where we're at right now in the Republican, in the right wing, there's going to be people that automatically blame Israel. Now, look, we'll see what ends up happening in terms of what the administration says. The problem is, you know, obviously the administration to these people, they're seeming, and honestly they are, because of the stuff that they're doing, they're seemingly in bed with Israel. So no matter what their investigation reveals, it's not going to really change the people's minds that think there's some type of Israeli involvement. All right, we're going to play some of these. This is the good part of this is the big part of the Vance speech.
There is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination. And there is no unity with the people who fund these articles, who pay the salaries of these terrorist sympathizers, who argue that Charlie Kirk, a loving husband and father, deserved a shot to the neck because he spoke words with which they disagree. Did you know that the George Soros Open Society Foundation and the Ford Foundation, the groups who funded that disgusting article justifying Charlie's death, do you know they benefit from generous tax treatment? They are literally subsidized by you and me, the American taxpayer. And how do they reward us? By setting fire to the house built by the American family over 250 years. I am desperate for our country to be united in condemnation of the actions and the ideas that killed my friend. I want it so badly that I will tell you a difficult truth. We can only have it with people who acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable, and when we work to dismantle the institutions that promote violence and terrorism in our own country.
So that was Vance earlier today giving a longer speech after hosting the Charlie Kirk show there. That's a good question, by the way. I see, what does Israel achieve by killing Kirk? If anything, Kirk was the last barrier, the last closed floodgate to the barrage, of young people against Israel. I think you're right. I don't really see that as something that would be good, because it's like, Kirk is going to come out now and be extremely based in like anti-Israel. That was just not Kirk's motto. I mean, in terms of his religious beliefs, he wanted to keep the biblical sites in the hands of the West, and he viewed Israel as an ally in doing that. So I don't really view that. I think a lot of this is just, they're going to say it no matter what. But that was Vance, and we've got clips, and I'm going to have to go to get some of these updates on this stuff. I want to see the updates on Trump and what Trump said.
The last thing I'll say.
That's an interesting design right there, like an outdoor amphitheater. I don't even know what you would call that, but what is the roof design there? Strange. One of the reasons Nick will get bigger increase in viewership is because the assassination radicalizes a lot of people. You don't blame a single one of them. Well, also, it's like, who else is there? Who else is there that's big enough to really, take on it? I mean, because Kirk had just an insane following, and so there's going to be somebody that benefits from it. I mean, it is just the reality. SG, thank you. I don't know. That's, what is that, a commie phrase? Israel conspiracy theories are getting silly now. Well, we have to understand this is where we're at. There's legitimacy to some of this Israel stuff, but like the way I see it, a lot of it just with these people, they're extremely anti-Israel, but it's also almost a business model. It's almost a business model in terms of everything is Israel's fault, and they could kind of put 3 or 4 pieces together and say, well, because piece 3 fits with piece 4, all the entire puzzle is solved and it's Israel, because Kirk was slightly turning. But it's like, I'm trying to add the context to why Kirk would be turning, in a sense, and a lot of it is because of the current situation in Palestine and the amount of people that view it as, a terrible, terrible thing and a heinous action. They say it's a genocide in Palestine, and, I mean, dude, I will say, in terms of it is insane, whatever you want to say about Palestine and Israel, whenever you see a genuinely retarded comment, there's a high % chance the person's going to have a Palestinian flag in their bio or something. I mean, it's really bad with those people. Now you want, yeah, so Tucker and Fuentes claim the other is FBI, CIA, right? Yeah, they're fighting over the same audience. So they're both fighting for young, disaffected white men. And I don't know to what degree with Tucker. I mean, it seemed like Tucker kind of had almost a drive-by shot of Fuentes, but then Fuentes really went in on to Tucker, and I don't know what Tucker's going to say about that. He really never responded to it. Tucker doesn't do nearly as much, it feels like. Maybe he does, and I just don't see it, but it doesn't feel like Tucker really is as politically active, certainly as when he was on Fox News and we heard from him, because he does these podcasts now, and it's like once a week, and it's like he's not as politically active, I feel. Thoughts on Baker Mayfield? Well, I don't know. I mean, I know he's playing right now. I mean, he's a pretty good quarterback. Could Steven Crowder soak up a lot of viewership? A lot of the viewership vacuum. He does the same type of university debates. I know. I mean, I guess it'll depend. I don't know exactly what'll happen. I think there'll be a few different top conservatives that are galvanized and start going to campuses. How long is that going to last, though? It's like they say they're going to do it, and then they end up stopping it 6 months in. You know, it's a big production. It costs a lot of money to go to those college campuses with the proper security and do things like that. There's zero incentive for Israel to assassinate Kirk. It's way too risky. And just think about it. Think about why would they do it right now when the entire younger base in the United States, the young men in the United States, already hate Israel? So what is Kirk going to come out and magically say? Like, why wouldn't Kirk shift earlier if that was his goal? To me, I think Kirk was someone that he had to politically maneuver a little bit because of what was going on in the real world. I don't think there was this rebirthing from Kirk to where now suddenly he's anti-Israel and Israel's like, oh, we got to get rid of him. All the kids are already anti-Israel at this point. You know, Israel's facelift, which I don't think would work for them, but it's allowing Netanyahu to do whatever, annexing areas of the West Bank and then removing Netanyahu and bringing in a different leader and saying, oh, we're a different country now. I don't think it's going to work, but I think that's what they'll try. They bombed the USS Liberty and got away with it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't. I mean, I've done a video on that. I agree they did do that, but that's like a war crime thing. This is, I think it's a little bit different. What state? What state? Ohio. Even Dave Smith has said it's getting silly now. Yeah, I mean, Dave Smith is he's another one. I don't know really what to think of Dave Smith. You know, he's a comedian, but I give him a little bit of a pass. He seems more political. I'm not a big fan of these comedians in politics. But Dave Smith is the problem with Dave Smith. He's like unrealistically anti-war. So it's okay. This is, you know, life. Actually, you have to go to war sometimes, and it's terrible. But like he just says, well, there should be no war ever, and it never has to happen. And to me, a lot of it's like unrealistic optimism, and it almost makes for like a waste of a conversation in some sense with what I see from Dave Smith. I haven't listened to Dave Smith recently. You don't want a Palestinian state? Well, I mean, obviously their two-state solutions are not working. Those people do not get along. I would like to not fund Israel, but if Israel defeats Palestine, I mean, it's whatever. But I would wish the United States would leave the Middle East. Thoughts on Vivek, governor of Ohio? Personally, you want that? You think he could really turn around? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Vivek. Vivek has said some really harmful statements. He's got some really wacky policies as well. You feel like the administration is slightly blowing the Kirk thing out of proportion by saying that we are all a target. They have the potential to pull a lot of moderates, but go too far. Now, I don't believe that, especially with how raw it is. I don't believe that at all. You know, Kirk, that's what liberals want. They want Kirk's. They want people to not react to the killing of Kirk. I mean, it could be a turning point and turning point moment. I'm not just saying that because of Turning Point USA. It could be a serious turning point. And you could see a lot of normies say, I mean, when those people, they celebrate a murder, a political violence like that. I mean, that's just nothing we want to associate with. You know, it's just a heinous thing. The question is how many of them will actually see it. Vivek lost me on H1B. Well, it's also some other stuff with him. I've been reading about him a bit, and there's some other stuff with Vivek I'm not a big fan of. I mean, I think, you know, I guess in the conservative umbrella he certainly is. Vivek got destroyed by Bolton in their debate. They did debate, didn't they? I didn't even see how that went. That was a little while ago at this point. That was back in the winter. Honestly, what about the Epstein files is becoming what about January 6th? Well, but it's even worse because these people had 4 years to release all of this stuff that they're supposedly obsessed about now. What about the Epstein files? What about Joe Biden releasing him when he was a lame duck? You could even wait until when Biden's a lame duck to where politics doesn't matter. There's not going to be another big election for 2 more years when Biden's a lame duck. The liberals already lost. Why wouldn't they just release the Epstein files then? Go ahead and expose Trump. Now you're so worried about the Epstein files being released? Are you kidding me? Do you think Tucker is grifting? Let me see what Tucker said. I thought what Tucker said was, you know, it was like a balance, and he was criticizing Netanyahu. I think it was a proper thing to say. You know, there was some stuff with Netanyahu. I'd have to see how other foreign leaders reacted, but it did seem like there was a lot of with Netanyahu, like he was trying to push this idea that Kirk was this huge, massive Israel supporter. It's almost like he's trying to use the death for a political, you know, political maneuver. So it did seem a bit, you know, disingenuous by Netanyahu. I think Carlson called it out. Yeah, I saw PBD did something on Don Lemon, and I just think, I don't know, man. It just feels like Don Lemon's irrelevant at this point. I don't really care. You feel like the DG from 2020 would have rage quit once in a while about something, but the 2025 DG in your old age are too measured and patient? Well, what do you mean rage quit? Rage quit a stream? I don't know if I would rage quit a stream. I mean, I was a lot dumber. When you're younger, you're a lot dumber for sure. And when you get older, you reflect on how stupid you were. Just at a self-awareness sense, you're a lot dumber when you're younger. All right, let's take a look at some of this. You and a lot of Gen Z are mad at Trump because he promised to release the Epstein files and now he won't because of Israel. Well, yeah, I don't know if it is because of Israel or not. I think when it comes to something like the Epstein files, you know, you have to understand there's many different angles to look at, including just the U.S. trust, the U.S. governmental trust. I mean, if you are the Trump administration, you have control of all 3 chambers, and you release these files, and there's a massive amount of people that are implicated in it, it's going to lose some serious trust, and it's going to be a big problem for the economy. There's going to be an immediate reaction to the economy. So I don't know. I mean, you know, you can say obviously Israel was involved with Epstein, and we get it, but I mean, just look at the fucking building on the island. It's just like it's like the fucking flag almost. It's the flag colors, but yeah, I mean, but it's always the problem with young Gen Z men. It's like this obsession with Israel. And look, I made videos on like the dancing Israelis and stuff, and so, you know, you try and be balanced about it though. I think it's way more complicated than that. What if Israel is blackmailing Trump? Well, that's what I suggested. I said Israel has something on Trump to where he won't release it, or it could be someone else. You know, Trump's done a lot of things in life. There might be blackmail. I don't know at this point. I mean, this is Trump's second term. He's been through 3 vetting processes, so I don't know what type of blackmail would be used at this point. But obviously, Trump has lived a very long life. There might be a few loose ends that are dictating this release of certain things. I mean, Trump was always coy about releasing the Epstein files, for context. He was never really gung-ho and leading. They would ask him, he would say, well, yeah, I'd release it. But it was never, you know, with the 9/11 documents, he'd be like, yeah, I'll release it. With the JFK stuff, he was like really excited by releasing it. And you could tell when they'd asked about the Epstein stuff. And you wonder, well, is it friends? His friends are on the list. His friends are in it. There's going to be a lot of people that are supposedly in the files that didn't do anything, and that's going to be released. And it's also a major liability if you know, the files are all encompassing. So they say, well, Trump is in the files. Well, he's in the files in what sense? Obviously, Trump, if the files are massive, there's going to be documentation of Trump and Epstein. There's photos of them. So him being in the files doesn't mean he was on the island. It doesn't mean he did anything horrible. You know, it would be documentation of him and Epstein having some type of business relationship of some kind, and then him potentially, you know, breaking it off even before Epstein was initially charged when he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. You guarantee it's not blackmail against Trump. It's the fact that if they have something equivalent to an economic nuclear bomb, if he turns, American suffers. So you're saying like a number of people are involved? I mean, you would lose the public trust, and it would be a major story. And you're right, the economy would suffer significantly if something like that happened. Dems would have leaked if Trump was on 100%. It's a lot more complicated than that. Trump was tag teaming with Stephen Hawking. And that is true. There's been rumors about Hawking. So that's insane. Not the Trump. Not the Trump thing. Not Trump being involved.
Get comfortable. Bring the best libs that Utah has to offer.
Yeah, did you see all the footage beforehand? I saw a lot of the footage before, like right before, you know, he was shot, and it's just crazy to think about, you know.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea.
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in God.
Yeah, that is AI. I've seen things like that. That's like a video AI, text to video, anime variant. What was that made with, do you think? Matt Walsh. I mean, I don't know about 6 minutes of Matt Walsh. There's an inconsistency in the Israel Epstein argument. If Israel is as dangerous as they say, sorry for being away from the microphone. If Israel is as dangerous as they say, then it makes no sense for them to just ask him to release the files without consequences. Yeah, I think the argument is they're powerful to where they're implicated in it, and so they're forcing Trump not to release them. Walsh is talking about destroying all the leftists. Really? Dude, Walsh tries to be, like, really based. I see some of this stuff that he says. You were driving earlier, so couldn't chat on the topic, but Fuentes brought in 200K plus live on just Rumble after Kirk died. Got 2 million views the next 24 hours. Wild stuff. Dude, I mean, this is... Thank you for the view update. I didn't know. I need a view update constantly on that. But I mean, people always tell me that the views. I mean, I just... You should run the Matt clip and see how many viewers you lose by in 6 minutes. That's the thing, man. Eric's going to give me a 6-minute clip. I don't think it's happening, brother. That ain't happening. Maybe 2 minutes is what I can sit through. But I just constantly talk. Or it's just dead air constantly. He's currently at 748K. That's slow. That's rookie, bro. Those are rookie numbers. Gen Z final boss. Like father, like son. Remember, like Trump, like father, like son. It's graduated. Boy, these people in medicine are getting fired. It is a bunch of normal people. Charlie Kirk show surged to #1. Let's see what Destiny says.
Out the crime statistics?
Not exactly like...
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games, okay? I'm done today. I don't give a fuck. God, it's gonna be so fucking gay if I get killed in the next fucking 2 months of shit I'm doing. Well, the cuck shit out here. Please don't anybody make any actual fucking, the most cucked, weak-ass, fucking bullshit-ass speeches on my side. God, if it happens, holy shit, I'm gonna make a death note before I go out to go live and not... God, it's so cucked. It's so optics cucked.
I think a lot of it is, I'm not sure Destiny is big enough for people to do that. That's maybe an ego check. But no, I don't, nobody should do anything to Destiny. But, I mean, I'm not even sure what he's insinuating. He's saying that Republicans should be afraid to die or something. I don't know what he's talking about. He just wants Republicans out of office. Your lib friends are really leaning into the Fuentes right-wing theory of the shooter. Don't even know what to say. Yeah, that's absolutely, obviously, I would say that's completely untrue. I mean, obviously, Fuentes gains people from this, but I don't even know what the theory is with him in specific. I know the Groyper overall theory is that, well, they don't like Kirk because Kirk's not far right enough for them, so one of them would do it. But that doesn't even make any sense either. But I don't exactly know what the Fuentes theory is. What is it? Well, because he's going to politically gain from this, that he ordered it. It's obviously wrong. I mean, we can tell by what the evidence is. Destiny is a cringe wannabe Nick Fuentes. No, I don't think he's a wannabe Nick Fuentes. But he's just a very liberal, like trying to be base liberal political streamer. He's kind of a weird like hybrid because he doesn't like being a leftist, but he also says some pretty heinous shit. So I think he's more like just a liberal edgelord, I guess. Maybe that's the best way to say it. The vigils. All right, we'll
use your. What about this? The fact of the matter is, the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact of this, your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear, and I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was
Is Gutfeld LGBT and Jewish? I'm not sure if you're saying he's gay. I don't know. Somebody said yes. I'm not sure, honestly.
Horrified by it. I have not been on the side.
But the two sides argument, it's like pig Latin to a duck.
No. All that I was saying is could we have all of the information before you just say they did this? Because that is a broad brush to paint with this. And this kid
Let's have a conversation.
No.
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. Look, I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold, and I'm sorry. But this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good. And we all have to deal with that. So that means we can't live by the same arguments that you might be reading about relativism among the media. We can't deal with those stories. It doesn't matter. The media is dead to us on this story. They built this thing up. We're dealing with it. We're going to act.
I've been notified Gutfeld is Catholic and married to a woman.
We don't care what the whataboutism is anymore. That shit's dead. Sorry. For the swearing as well. I apologize to the American public. I'm going to shut up for the rest of the show.
Bro is arguing with a woman. Well, you know how it is. That's a liberal woman. That's how they get the big debates to foment. They get the liberal woman on there. She says stuff, and then it gets one of them going. It's just like Scott Jennings on CNN. But with Scott Jennings, I mean, it's even the moderator that hates Scott Jennings. Destiny and the far left want Christians, conservatives to be scared, and they are furious that we didn't react with fear. It scares them. I mean, but realistically, with where the right wing is currently, why would you expect us to react with fear? especially under Trump and with MAGA, it just feels like that Republicans would just get more angry and more right wing and further right. I don't know why they would expect there to be a different reaction. Your tattoo is healing up nicely. Yeah, well, you got a tattoo of me. I appreciate that.
And he was like a magnet for young people. They just attracted to him. He loved them, and they attracted to him. His wife is a tremendous person, by the way. He always had great respect for his wife. He got married. I didn't know he was getting married. I heard he got married, and he loved her. He really loved her. She loved him, and I think she'll have something to do with keeping that whole thing going. Turning Point it became a very big deal, and I heard they had like 38,000. So he wanted to get it up to 20,000 chapters. That's a lot. That would have been a lifetime's work. I heard that over the last 4 days, they have 38,000 people wanted 38,000 chapters at colleges, schools, other places. Numbers that nobody's ever heard of numbers like that. So I think Turning Point could be.
Yeah, that's very good. What you don't understand is if the shooter has a trans girlfriend and a bunch of trans friends, why would he do this to Charlie and put the whole friend group in a target? Well, obviously he was very irrational. Did you see his Discord message? He apologized to his friend group, apparently. He said, "I'm sorry I'm putting you guys through this," or whatever. It was me at UVU. That was like a recent thing from a Discord message after the killing. So he's telling his trans group on Discord that it was him, and he's apologizing to them. And then he said he was going to turn himself in or something. I think he told his father, and then that's how the father told the minister, and then he ended up getting caught. And from what we can know, I mean, apparently he's not cooperating, but everyone else is that's being questioned in relation to it.
Through what happened, this horrible act, it could be maybe bigger than it could have ever been had he been there. And I will say this, he'd be very happy if he saw what was going on. And there's some very good people, because I speak at Turning Point quite a bit. And Charlie would call me up. So the last time I spoke to him, he said, "Sir," and I think it was Phoenix, "Sir, could you get to Phoenix?" This was like in a day. I said, "Charlie, I'm the President of the United States. You're calling, asking me if I could speak tomorrow in Phoenix. You can't do that to me, Charlie." But usually I ended up going. He was great. He was a great guy, and he didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve.
And so the memorial is at the Arizona Cardinals NFL Stadium. I'm not sure what the seating arrangement is, but you could, it's going to be a lot of people, tens of thousands, very likely for that. You think once these chats are released along with the trials, things are going to be so indefensible by the shooter? A far right. Yeah, they have to stop that. They have to abandon that. I mean, I don't know what they'll do. The thing is right now they've got a lot of normies kind of believing it's hazy and his family was conservative and they loved guns, and so they've got that going on right now. But they're not going to be able to keep it up. So what will they pivot to exactly to try and, because it's obviously a leftist who's like in a trans community or something. So that's the worst case scenario for them. So how do they pivot and try and swing it, like on Good Morning America and all the normies? How do they try and, or do they just not cover it? Do they just not cover any of this stuff that gets released in any detail? I don't know what they're going to do to try and swing this, the liberals. Security is the problem. You want security on every rooftop going forward. Yeah, I mean, obviously there should have been a drone at least. All you need is like 2 or 3 drones patrolling the outer areas. Anytime you go to an event that has different rooftops that really cannot be seen, there should be drones. But again, this is Charlie Kirk. I mean, you're not going to have people that go that have thousands and thousands. It's a rare occurrence. But, they should have drones up there. I mean, imagine they have drones up there. It becomes like they spot him and there's a code red, and that's it. And it just, they didn't exist, unfortunately. There were no drones. We already know the pivot. They will pivot to it's Trump's fault like the last 10 years. I know, but that doesn't really work with this. I mean, because it's one of Trump's guys dying. I don't think normie people will buy that. I mean, you could say, well, Trump has stoked the flames, but it just doesn't, you know, the way in which it happened. I mean, I guess they might just say it, but... You thought the father's best friend was a U.S. Marshal? It's something like that. Then he told him that his son confessed. None of the mainstream leftist YouTube channels covered the Ukrainian girl that was attacked on the train. It's honestly disgusting how silent they were. TYT. Really? They didn't even cover that? They didn't even cover it once? But that's the thing with Irina Zoranska. Feminists didn't talk about it either. How crazy is the feminist grift? Like, that is one of the saddest videos of a young girl that's like 110 pounds. That would be big for their movement, and they won't talk about it because it confirms stereotypes. Shows you how big of a grift like liberal feminism is. Thank you for the donation, JG, $5. You appreciate all the info we're getting, but you wonder how this affects the trial and jury selection. Also wonder how wide this terror network is. And that's what they're going to be investigating is, you know, the radicalization of this kid and how much was involved in potentially a political retaliation by Trump in reaction to this. And maybe it is a widespread thing within the Democratic Party. I mean, obviously, a lot of these people have the belief that it is okay to murder someone if you don't agree with them politically. And a lot of that comes down to them fear-mongering Trump as a fascist. And it is kind of like a gateway through that, and then it's Kirk, and then it's some of the other Republicans as well. They've already stopped with the far right thing. I know. Did you see that? You feel like after the trans partner thing was confirmed, they're changing it to violence on both sides. Yeah, and I saw a few top liberals say, well, Trump, why is Vance at Charlie Kirk's show? He should be doing, more important things. So it's like now we're starting to see the simmering and we're starting to see it change in real time. Now they're like, it's not important. Now it's not important. So it's going to keep changing with them because we have the facts on our side in terms of who this individual was. We can watch them dance over and over again and try and change their story. And it's just the pure cope. And I think they're just not going to cover it, honestly. Because how can they cover this? This is terrible for them. Lack of security. I mean, I understand. I agree with you. They should have had more security at this event. It doesn't seem right to use the Kirk's death to amp up messaging, but honestly, it's what he would have wanted. Yeah, he would want his death to be used politically. That would be politically advantageous for conservatives. Honestly, I believe that's what he would want. It is, so, and it is politics and it is political, and his death was political, and so.
The killing of Melissa Hortman, the attack on Paul Pelosi,
Oh, not the attack on Paul Pelosi. Oh my goodness. What if Trump just said that?
Make the case that violence is only on one side. It seems to be taking.
I didn't say it's on one side, but I say the radical left causes tremendous violence, and they seem to do it in a bigger way.
Just say what I was saying, Trump.
But the radical
Somebody
left
tell
really
Trump to say what I was saying.
Caused a lot of problems for this country. I really think
two of the most prominent conservative voices had guns pointed at their heads. There's not even close to a liberal equivalency of that. Not even close. That's all you have to say. Don't give them an inch and say there's both sides. I didn't say that. Fuck that.
Ilhan Omar, after his assassination, called Charlie Kirk a reprehensible human being. Should she be stripped of her community assignments?
I would say, I think she's a disgraceful person. I think she's a disgraceful person, a loser. It's amazing the way people vote. I know it's people from her area, maybe of the world. I don't know. They got here and they vote her in. It's hard to believe, but I think she's a disgusting person.
And one more question, if I could.
She's not even American. She doesn't like America. She hates our founding. Why is she in a leadership position in the United States? A failure of our country to allow an individual like this who clearly hates the country into a leadership position. But the people voting her there are not even Americans themselves, or like they came here and it's all immigrants. So it's like people that aren't even from here, that don't even like this country, are elevating other people that aren't from here, that don't even like this country. Ooh. So the right is demanding retribution, retaliation, justice from the left. What does that look like? Well, I mean, I think we have to be clear. Trump said very peaceful things. I mean, he definitely has said it's not going to be unity or anything like that, but I think Trump wants to, he wants retribution in terms of being able to label Antifa a terrorist organization. I think it's more so something like that. I don't think it would be, Trump was said that Kirk would have wanted them to be peaceful and there's going to be no political violence. Trump was not calling for political violence against the left or anything like that. So I think it's important to understand. I think it's more so, utilizing this, and obviously it's a terrible event. But we're going to have to do some serious investigations into some of this liberal stuff. And really, maybe it goes back to the colleges and stuff. And we'd like to see a restructure within colleges. I think too many of the professors are liberals, honestly. Maybe that's what we can get. Now, I don't think the college caused this to happen, but maybe it's a byproduct. You're able to do something like that. I don't know. I think they're going to try and do something to where a lot of this liberal stuff gets snuffed out. A lot of this liberal because obviously these people think that you should be able to shoot someone like Charlie Kirk, obviously Trump, obviously someone like, I'm sure, Stephen Miller. If they don't like Kirk, they're not going to like him. JD Vance. So, there's a number of these people that it's a big problem. When was prime Trump? Dude, I don't know. It was like the 2015, 2016 debates, honestly. But in terms of his leadership, I think the cabinet this time around is way better. Oversimplification, far left causes and instigates violence while the right reacts to it. And it just seems like, even with the reaction, it seems like there is a much different culture on the left to where, because the media and the influences they've made the people on the right so evil, and they're fascist and they're disgusting. Like, I don't understand what they mean. Like, do they not understand what the word fascism is? Like, if Trump was fascist, and he really thought he won the 2020 election, why would he not just suspend everything and remain in office and use the executive branch to try and do that? That's what I don't understand. Why would he not just try and eliminate the Constitution? Why would he continue to have to deal with these lower tier judges, and everything goes to the Supreme Court and all the rulings? Just get rid of all of it if he is actually a fascist, like genuinely.
I got tremendous numbers of views. By the way, I want to say, Charlie helped me. And Charlie was the one, get on TikTok. He used to say to me, get on TikTok. Charlie was unbelievable. So probably, and I did. I had somebody named TikTok Jack. And he'd put that camera. I got tremendous numbers of views. By the way,
look at how different George Floyd riots versus Kirk. Yeah, and both of them include liberal violence. The George Floyd riots had the most property damage out of any riots in U.S. history. It's over $2 billion. And then the Kirk stuff, the only stuff that we saw that was violent was leftists stomping on the Kirk memorials. Their party is it's very, very bad. Yeah, TikTok is bad. Why wouldn't Trump act? Dude, but Mr. Creeper, it gets better. Let me read your comment, and then I'll say, why wouldn't Trump actually use the military to coup instead of unarmed mob, which wasn't even a legit coup attempt if he was genuinely fascist? Why did Trump, 3 days before it was broke on January 3rd, say that the National Guard should have been protecting the U.S. Capitol? But I thought he was a fascist, so wouldn't he use the National Guard to seize the U.S. Capitol? Why would he want that? And by the way, it was liberals like Nancy Pelosi who didn't have and didn't allow the National Guard to be there. Otherwise, there would be no break-in. There would be no break-in. Why did Trump say peacefully and patriotically? Why didn't he say storm the gates? He's talking about Venezuela, I think.
What time they were leaving, when they were leaving, what they had, and all of the other things that you'd like to have. But we have noticed that there are no ships in the ocean anymore. We're seeing that there's like no ships, when the first one we went, there were hundreds of boats. Now there are no boats. I wonder why. Meaning no drugs are coming across. Probably stopping some fishermen too. I mean, to be honest, if I were a fisherman, I wouldn't want to go fishing here.
You're asking, should TikTok be banned? Yeah, TikTok should go. I hate TikTok. Yeah, I hate TikTok for sure. But you're right. People tell me it's a money thing.
Just a nice, let's take a little trip, because I'd say, man, maybe they think I have drugs downstairs. I don't want that. I think the fishing business has probably been hurt. But no, there are literally no boats. This was a boat, and we were surprised to see it. Now, what does that mean? That means there's no drugs coming by sea, but they do come by land. And you know what? We're telling the cartels right now, we're going to be stopping them too. When they come by land, we're going to be stopping them the same way we stop the boats. And you'll see that, but maybe by talking about it a little bit, it won't happen. If it doesn't happen, that's good. But they killed 300,000 people in our country last year.
Well, I'd like to see some numbers on how much he stopped. I mean, it seems like he's talking a big game. So it sounds pretty good that they've stopped a bunch of the ships. And so, you can use that maybe during the midterms.
Wonderful neighbor, smart guy, great boards, great marks, great student. And then something happened to him over a fairly short period of time. Looks like he was radicalized over the internet, and it's radicalized on the left. He's a left. I have a lot of problems with the left, and they get protected. And they shouldn't be protected. But as you understand, I think very well from the tone of your question. Thank you very much.
If we finally just take Greenland, then we will be in position to ban TikTok. Yeah, that's kind of a funny thing. But yeah, there's not really a relationship. I think we're gonna get Greenland. We got to get Greenland. I mean, it's important for the security. What's Trump's goal with the super aggressive anti-left speech? What do you mean when which you're talking about? He spoke against Democrats, or like he doesn't want them to have freedom of speech? What are you talking about? I think obviously he's pissed off that this happened to Kirk. Look, this is a terrible thing. It's going to be politicized. So Trump is angry. He knows his base is angry. He's trying to show that he's angry with his base.
Well, it's something I would do, yeah. If I have support from the people back here, I think we'd start with Pam, I think. But I would, if you give me, I would do that 100%. And others also, by the way. But Antifa is terrible.
So they asked about making Antifa a terrorist organization. He said Antifa is terrible, and he went to Bondi and said if she'll help. Did you see the argument Tyler shouldn't get the death penalty? Yeah, that type of stuff is... It's like he gets the death penalty. Dude, I see the same arguments with these cases. Give him the death penalty. People want justice. They want vengeance. And then some people say, no, it's too easy for him. Make him sit in a cell for 40 years, but then it's a waste of taxpayer money. And we just do this. But, I mean, ideally, it's a sound thing and you know, maybe like some type of public thing to show that this is not right. You shouldn't be doing this. But they're never going to do that. They're not going to do these speedy trials. You know, with due process, and the big problem is appeals. Especially when it comes to something like the death penalty. There's appeals that stretch out for 10, 20, 30. I mean, some people, they'll be on death row and they'll just die in prison of old age because the amount of appeals that they go through and the amount of time that it takes being in the system, it's an insane amount of time in terms of just getting to the trial and then getting it done, and then they will have appeals if there's the death penalty, if the state allows the death penalty. And so it's a whole big thing. It's not like it was in the, the old days. And I don't know if it would really be a deterrent. Like the killing of the Ukrainian girl, that would be one that would happen, you'd think, really quickly because it's obvious he did it. But now we're getting reports that the killer has been transferred to some type of mental hospital, and they're trying to see whether or not he's fit. And this is a lot of waste a lot of drain in terms of taxpayer money. It doesn't seem like the due process is really working with something like that, because it's a very clear-cut case. I mean, whether he was schizophrenic or not, there's a lot of people that have issues, but they don't kill people. And so there has to be self-accountability and ownership, and we see it. And the idea that he can just drain resources and tax money being in a hospital, I think it enrages a lot of people. I mean, it's a big problem with the current justice system that we have, the amount of time that it takes. He had ample opportunity to put yes men in leadership positions in office with no regard for law, and this would have happened. And this would have been authoritarian, 100%. And they try and say that he already did that with people, but no, not his administration, especially his administration in 2016, but even the one now. I mean, these are serious. I mean, I guess you could say Hegseth maybe, but Rubio is overqualified. Gabbard was a liberal like fucking a year ago. RFK ran as a fucking liberal in 2024. This is an authoritarian who's bringing in liberals into his administration. Dude, like the whole idea that he's a fascist, it just does not make any sense. Just ask liberals, why has Trump not tried to completely eliminate the Constitution? Why do we have to deal with Trump passing executive orders that get struck down by low-level judges and then have to be ruled by the Supreme Court? And sometimes even with a conservative Supreme Court, they don't rule in Trump's favor, and he accepts it. And he has control of the executive branch. Do you think Andrew Wilson is a good debater? I haven't seen much of. I'm sure he's probably a good debater. He debates a lot, and I don't watch him. I've seen some debates, but not recently. Love from San Francisco, man. Saw a furry while on a hike today. A lot of people afraid to speak out on the BS from the left here. That's insane. Saw a furry out in public. It doesn't surprise me. San Francisco, California. I vacationed in San Francisco back in 2016. More gay pride flags than American flags, San Francisco. When I went, it's probably gotten worse in a decade, I'd imagine.
All right, here we go.
Wonderful. Perfect.
Okay.
Wonderful.
All right, here we go.
You need to quit saying liberal when... We need to quit saying liberal when we mean fascist. Leftists are the one calling him a fascist. Liberals have been joining MAGA slowly since 2016. No, that's not correct. No, I understand the distinction between liberal and fascist. Liberals are 1,000% calling Trump a fascist. 1,000%. So are leftists, but it's both. I mean, maybe moderate liberals might not, but it's... What even? Walsh prefers hairy men. What even is that comment? Why is SD nice? Are you talking about San Diego? Yeah, San Diego I think is more conservative, or it's shifted, but it's got amazing weather. That's why people like San Diego. It's got like the most ideal weather in the United States.
And we're doing it in a big way. Pete, could you say a few words?
Yes, Mr. President. from day one, the DOW, the Department of War.
I'm glad you made that correct.
Correcting it for you, sir. Has been proud to stand with our partners across the interagency, whether it's the Southwest border, whether it was Los Angeles getting ahead of that, whether it's right here in Washington, D.C., where Secretary Driscoll and the Army and the National Guard have taken the lead in helping across all of these great folks to secure the city. We are very proud to be here, to stand strong alongside law enforcement. We're glad that Memphis is the place to go. The volunteer state, we're not going to have any problems with the Tennessee National Guard being willing to go in and stand strong in Memphis, sir.
Not at all. And
like the stream. Yeah, guys, like the stream. Go ahead, like the stream. I got to say that at the beginning. I got to pin it, I think, is what I got to do.
But thanks to you launching us early, launching us quietly, not looking for the credit, Mr. President. We greatly appreciate your support and the advanced foresight you had in doing that.
it's so exciting, and somebody had to do this. A president should have stepped.
Base is planning on. I didn't see that. Is that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. So that's their governance token then. Is it BSC? Dude, I wonder if that fake base coin went up. Well, they need to launch a governance token because they were just using the base version of it, the bridged, base version of Ethereum. And I always thought it would just be better for them to launch. But they that's going to make, they're going to get a lot more money with that because the base coin would be very, those coins you can't make money off of though. Unless it starts at like 100 million. Even if it started there, you're not, what are you going to get, like a 10x, a 20x, 30x? Maybe. Because those coins normally have like massive pre-sales or a ton of supply controlled. I would buy a pre-sale of that. I mean, it depends what it would be at. Do you know if they're doing a pre-sale? You tried to do a speech on free speech and debate citing Kirk to your professor and said I shouldn't continue because there are two sides to what happened to him. Well, I don't understand. Why would he not let you continue if it's an assignment? If you... Probably a liberal professor doesn't want to hear about liberal violence. Dude, these people. It's always someone with Bondi. Hamas has moved hostages above ground, using them as human shields against Israel's ground offensive. Over 100 teachers in Texas now have their teacher certification suspended and become ineligible to teach in Texas public schools after endorsing. Wow, 100 teachers, man. That's embarrassing. Over 100 teachers, I guess, publicly gloating enough to the point to where they've been identified and... Phew. Aren't there only like 20 hostages left? At this point, there's like none. I mean, they've been talking about hostage and swaps for like 3 months. It's not going to happen. Israel wants land. I mean, whatever happens, they're just going to get their land. It's just the reality of it. They probably all came from the West Coast. There's a lot of liberal areas in Texas, man. A lot of major cities. Houston's extremely liberal. Some of them maybe moved in, but they're liberal areas. I mean, bigger cities. Vance Tucker is down. All right, we have to watch that one. Trump has ordered another military strike, resulting in the death of 3 terrorists en route to America from Venezuela. And so... they've got some footage here of a dinghy boat, little dinghy, that's been neutralized. What do you think of Sam Hyde's new video? Also, what do you think of Israel planting bugs on emergency vehicles at the White House? Yeah, that's Tim Dillon trying to be relevant, and I'm just sick of comedians, honestly. Like, it's just annoying. And I know Tim Dillon has the guy on, and it's an expert, and I don't know about that, man. I really don't. It's really sexy to hate on Israel right now. And when you've got Tim Dillon, really? Tim Dillon? What are we getting? Dude, Tim Dillon, Andrew Schultz. I'm sick of comedians with political opinions. I really am. I don't, it's whatever, I guess, but it's just getting really annoying for me. Sam Hyde's video. Yeah, Sam Hyde's video was impactful for sure. I think, he made some really good points, and he structured the video in a way that made it super impactful and emotional in terms of a lot of the I mean, look at the Ukrainian, like one of Charlie Kirk's last tweets was about Irina, so it just goes to show you where, the amount that's happened. Tim Dillon is officially another multimillionaire telling us how disenfranchised we are. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like something about these comedians trying to talk politics I just find annoying. Somebody else has got to agree with me on that. I mean, like, seriously. I'm like on an island. I mean, Rogan, I think, is different because I don't even really view him as a comedian. I think Rogan's like a podcaster and he talks to people. I mean, if you've got the biggest podcast in the world. Yeah, but I don't really view Rogan as a comedian. Think about it. He's more known as a podcaster. You agree comedians who talk politics think they're smarter than... And these people, like, spawned in 5 minutes ago, and now that everything's political. Trump has made it, like, the thing to talk about is politics now, I guess. So that's why they do it. You 100% agree with me? Comedians as central figures or intellects is retarded and said, yeah, no, 100%. I get annoyed hearing about it. And then they try and talk politics. They're trying to control the culture. They're trying to push the culture in a certain way. And you can see the conservative grift from some of them. And, oh, it's Israel's fault because, of course. But then it's like, dude, this entire Israel stuff to me is so complicated. Like, you can't come in 5 minutes ago and say this. It's just not... But the thing is with Israel, if you're not 100% on board, you're like a fucking establishment bitch. That's what these people think with Israel. If you're not on board with everything. Political comedians don't have any convictions. She sees Schultz flipping on Trump. I don't even know what his politics are at this point. Yeah, I saw him flip on Trump like it's this big fucking thing. All right, dude. You don't like Trump anymore. Okay. All right, man. Thanks for telling us. It's like the emoji with like the thumbs up when you're in a group. Like, all right, man. He's like, I think AOC is more America first than Trump. All right, man. Sure. Because they want to help the normal person. You are a normie right wing if you think Kirk was solid right wing. Bro, this is the thing. I'm actually so in deep, I understand and I can pull myself out and I can look at a political spectrum. And you listen to what Charlie Kirk says. The idea that you think Charlie Kirk is moderate right wing tells me you are enthralled deeply into online right wing activity. Because obviously the online right is a very, very far right in comparison. If you look at a normal American political spectrum, there's no way you could say Kirk was a moderate. Now, I don't think Kirk was far right, but a moderate is just a mislabeling. But you're terminally online, so you want to tell me that, oh, I'm a normie, really? Did you see Ben Shapiro being rage baited by Bill Maher on the easiest question in the world? He should have just said he was 100% sure the killer wasn't a conservative. Yeah, you know how that whole thing worked. Ben Shapiro was like promoting a book, and so he's going everywhere. And I'm sure he was scheduled to do Bill Maher like weeks ago. And so, of course, it's like Ben Shapiro defending Groypers because that was the recent theory. Dude, but Bill Maher is such like a boomer bitch. Did you see what Bill Maher said? He's like, well, we don't know anything. The internet always lies. Nobody knows if this kid was left-wing or right-wing. It's like, dude, this is like a big show. Don't you get like a lot of viewers? Maybe you should do some research. But Bill Maher, like with the most boomer take possible, he's like, well, the internet always lies. We don't know. We don't know anything. And then it's like Shapiro trying to defend Groypers. Oh, all right. He was a moderate in the sense that everyone in this chat room is more offensive than him, including me. Well, yeah, because this is not... Yes, but this is not a good representation. This is the problem. See, we're in an echo chamber or something, and it's obviously we're going to be further right-wing. This is online culture. It's online culture. But I'm also younger. Younger people are more... But I was even, I think I've gone less so... right, but I don't even know when I would characterize myself as somewhere on the right. Was Charlie's death avoidable? Well, it was if there were drones. It was completely avoidable. I mean, after the bullet hit him, it's not. It was. You're not going to be able to save him. There's too much immediate blood loss. How old is this dude? 28. Kirk was 31. I think Kirk was about to turn 32. That's very young for someone that's, Kirk is very young for being, like, within the Trump administration. It's very impressive. The guy that stabbed the girl got released. No, he got transferred to a mental hospital for evaluation. It's bullshit, just a waste of taxpayer money. Yeah, very, very young.
All right, breaking right now, reports of a confession posted on Discord from Charlie Kirk's suspected assassin hours before, after the murder, but hours before his father turned him in to authorities in Utah. This is Washington Post reporting on this at this point. Justice correspondent David Spunt joining me now live from Washington. Hi, David. What can you tell us?
Hi, Martha. About 2 hours before he was turned into authorities, this according to the Washington Post. We are working to independently confirm this as well, but the Washington Post says that Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old suspect charged in Charlie Kirk's murder, confessed, and I want to read this according to the Washington Post, writing on Discord, that social media chat group that the FBI says he used, quote, "Hey guys, I have bad news for you all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this." This coming from the Washington Post. Now, this comes as DOJ officials began late last week and over the weekend looking at the potential for at least one federal charge. No guarantee they'll get there. A department spokesperson declined comment, but a source familiar said investigators are not ruling anything out at this time. time, especially his online gaming presence, his chats, as we just mentioned. Who was he talking to?
You think he's 25, 20-ish? He's 22. They said he was 25. It turns out he's 22. So, like, be a senior in college at 22? I don't think he was in college, though. I don't know why Discord lied. It's just, like, what does it make sense to do that? Like, blatant lie. Oh, he didn't send any messages on... I think they said he didn't send any incriminating messages or something. He's a rough-looking 22. It's hard to tell, honestly, nowadays. Sometimes kids look really young for their age. Like, that's the thing. Half the people think Gen Z ages terribly. Half the people think Gen Z ages, you know, with, like, low testosterone, so we all look younger. "25 was the other guy people were saying that looked like me." Makes sense. Nah, that dude didn't look like me that much. That was a psyop by the chat. That was a psyop, in my opinion. Thankfully, it wasn't him, or I would have had to deal with that. JD Vance must be 48 in 2028. He's our next great leader. Wow. What an endorsement. A lot of the 9/11 hijackers were younger, but looked, yeah, 100, yeah, a lot of them did look really old. People are shocked with, especially the pilot hijackers. One of them, I think Marwan El Shahid, he was like 23. He looks like he's 42. It's because of the hair. You're a 2008 kid and you grew a beard at 14. Yeah, there were a few kids in our middle school that could grow a little bit of beard. That could be a sign of it could be a sign of a few different things, but it's a rarity when you can. I can't even grow a completely full beard at 25, but sometimes it comes in later for guys. It just depends. Off topic, but if you have one, what's your favorite GTA game? Well, I really only played two main GTA games, obviously GTA 5 and GTA San Andreas. So I would say GTA 5. I mean, that's like a normie, but I mean, you gotta go GTA 5. You gotta play GTA 4. He downplayed George Floyd. He oppressed Juneteenth. Oh, God. Oh, I'm shuddering. Oh, how will we ever survive? Yeah, these are probably going to start popping up. You should grow out the beard until next election. If the Republicans win, continue to grow it. Good luck. Or if the cut. No, I'm not growing out my beard. I don't grow it out far at all anymore because it doesn't grow properly. I can grow it with stubble and it looks okay, but when you grow it out further, it exposes, you know, my beard. My if I were to have a stronger beard, I would need more hair, like right here, because I have coverage, you know, but I don't have enough coverage up. The whole Gen Z testosterone thing always confuses you. Who are they sampling? These blood inner city liberals or the whole of Gen Z? I don't know. You know, they say it's like microplastics and it's a few other things that cause lower testosterone. The men's testosterone is getting lower for sure. It's a number of factors. As a West Coaster, you love the late streams. Yeah, I think it's just better for people. There were too many people that told me when I was streaming at 11 o'clock that they love the late streams. It's like, I don't know if I'll stream at 11 o'clock, though. That's a bit too late. It just doesn't make... But I could stream at like 10 a few nights. I could stream at 11 on Saturday. You think the New York gubernatorial election will be competitive after Katie Hochul endorsed Mondani? I think it's potentially. I mean, we saw it in 2022. It can be competitive. Do you think Israel has nukes? I don't think they do. Oh, they certainly have nukes for sure. Israel does have nuclear warheads. Now, the potency of them and the range can be debated. Obviously, they deny having them, but it is the worst kept secret. You better stream whenever the fuck you can make money. Do you think this is going to last forever? Well, it is an off election, and I'm still making money. It's not even like it's election season, so there's always news. Would you be open to AI algorithms that detect potential for political violence? I would. No, that's a problem. That kind of destroys the ability to function on the internet, I feel like. I mean, I don't know the way it would work, though. Like, political violence in what terms? People could be curious on certain things, and it's like, you've got a case against you. That becomes a slippery slope doing things like that. Actually, the streams are doing pretty well, view-wise. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this has been a terrible situation. But whenever there's, like, a big event, the Israel-Iran stuff, they get more views. Thoughts on United Kingdom protests for free speech? Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing assembly. They were able to organize that and potentially get 2-3 million were the reports. The independent numbers, the media tried downplaying it, saying it was 100K. There were aerial shots of it. It's to get that many people it's impressive. And I think there has to, I mean, 2 or 3 million people on the streets of London, or it's to me, I think they are done with the immigration, and even the Liberal Party is saying there's not going to be a ton more immigration. Terrible situations call for guidance. Yeah, but I'm not even sure if this, I mean, why don't we investigate it and see if this kid even said much? I mean, there's a chance that he didn't even say much. Or there's ways probably around it, honestly, I mean, that just, people would really hate something like that, to where they feel like they're being watched on everything they do on the internet. Even if you are, I mean, there's the thought of ambiguity that people still have. How could anyone pin this on Fuentes? I don't get it. Because Fuentes gained significant viewership and young following from this. But they're desperate, and it's also because Fuentes hated Kirk. But it's not, based on this kid and based on the evidence, it's just not true. Could have easily been a Groiper, but it wasn't. I don't really think so. I don't think they would really do it. Like, Kirk was kind of getting dunked on anyways. But I do like Kirk, but I'm just saying in terms of like the younger kids, the younger crowd. That's why he was kind of shifting his position on Israel. Trump is going to the UK tomorrow. Is that true? I never heard that. I don't know if that's true. Let's go in there for a trade deal meeting. No, I don't know. We had to get a trade deal with the UK. Why did he hate Kirk? Israel. Kirk's support for Israel. And he is just more right on pretty much every issue. Fuentes is. It is true. Well, he's going to the UK. Yeah, you should go to Greenland. You should go to Greenland. Make a stop at Greenland. We need Greenland news. No unity with these people, according to Vance. Vance delivers it. You've been gaining 1K subscribers every couple of days since you hit 300K, which is good. Yeah, well, my 9/11 iceberg has been in the algorithm. And, I mean, that Dancing Israelis video was in the algorithm as well. Those two videos have really been gaining views, if I'm going to be honest. It's just the way the algorithm is. And then there was another video that was starting to get... Like, the daily videos... Those, I mean, some of the college football videos, I guess the predictions do decently. Interesting, the most famous conservative advocate dies, and there's been zero dangerous or deadly on protests since. Funny how that works. It is crazy compared to Floyd, and just the difference in terms of the individuals as well. Fast forwards, thank you for that. What's up? Terrible situation with Kirk. You're glad I'm covering the situation with great detail. Started watching for 9/11 content. Now this, Arn. Rest in peace, Kirk. I appreciate the donation. Do you think the shooter climbed on that building for the first time on the day of the shooting? No. It's been reported he was there a few times scoping it out, which is something that would come out probably on the car's GPS because it's 200 miles away and he traveled 200 miles. So he would have to go to the campus 200 miles, drive, scope it out, and then return, which I believe is what happened. And this all needs to come out because I do want to know the exact details of this. It's interesting to learn it. Nick hated Charlie because he wasn't right-wing enough, but it was disingenuous to ask him to all of a sudden turn on Israel, especially because Charlie wasn't a grifter and believed in what he preached. Yeah, and obviously they're going to say, there was a lot of accusations against Kirk getting serious money from Israel, and, I mean, there's some bad stuff. You look at some of the stuff Fuentes said, I see it on my timeline about Kirk, and they certainly said some bad stuff. He tried to make it like, well, they were going at each other, but it was like 99-1 Fuentes going at Kirk. And yeah, Kirk was like, I think Kirk was a little bit more flexible because a lot of people were shifting, but I don't think it was a total turn. And then they're like, oh, we got to kill him, because I highly doubt that. It doesn't even seem logical at all. Kash Patel did another interview with Fox. I think I saw it, unless he just did an update maybe. Green Beret Special Forces guy says his grandma could have made the shot with an hour at the rate. 100%. It was a relatively easy shot. And I think that's a good reflection to have. People sitting there saying people started saying immediately, I'm sure you guys remember, this is a professional. But it just goes to show you with these developing events, it's constantly wrong information. Yeah, but I don't even think he learned with that rifle with his family. Most of these things, these kids learn within weeks. It doesn't take long to learn how to shoot, a rifle like that and be okay and be decent with it. How can the left be mad at people losing their jobs when they celebrated people lose? Well, now it becomes this, the whataboutism on both sides. The left says, well, you guys are against cancel culture. The right says, well, you guys are for cancel culture. But really, the left, it's different. They look back at like 20 years ago, your tweets and stuff, and it's like racism. It's not even about being heinous and celebrating death of someone. It's like saying a racist word. Nick Fuentes did give his respect to Charlie Kirk on his live stream. They were rivals yet, but not rivals that they wanted to kill. Yeah, I understand that, but he did say some heinous shit about Kirk. And so obviously he's going to have to come out and say, well, you know, that didn't mean it like that and stuff. And no, but it wasn't a griper. It certainly wasn't. The kid was a leftist. Why didn't the administration aggressively go after those who celebrated the 2 Democrats that were shot earlier this year? I don't even think anyone celebrated, Ben. I mean, legitimately, I don't think anyone celebrated. I don't even think anyone knew who those people were. I mean, it's a completely different scenario. You were sad this weekend, even though it was your birthday, you could feel sadness. I know, dude, the Kirk thing, you think about it, it's just so crazy because Kirk was there were constant clips, and it's just, you know, to lose someone of that had that stature online is insane. No, there's no way. There's no way it's a false flag. It doesn't make sense to take out Kirk. Kirk is a very important, you know, person for the movement. They were shot by other Democrats. Yeah, they were shot by like a schizophrenic or something. It was a really weird situation, and then he said Tim Walz made me do it. I mean, I guess it could be political, but it wasn't really political. Like, there's definitely no characterization. You could say, well, he was radicalized by the right wing. That shooting did not happen like that at all. It's just not true. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this live stream. I'm going to end it there. But thank everyone for the donations. I appreciate it. Thoughts on people having a problem with Vance on Kirk's show? Yeah, people were saying Vance is like a political opportunist, you know, in terms of being on Kirk's show and saying he's a longtime friend and stuff like that. But he's the vice president, so him going on there, I don't think it's poor taste at all. All right, guys, I will see you. Remember, people lost their job for being unvaxxed too. 100%, 100%, Robert. All right, guys, we'll see you.